Roger Reads the Bible is going to be on Sundays starting next week. I'm going to get at least 3 Bibles. I figure as a minimum, at least 1 old and 1 contemporary. I figure it's like a nice mix of translations. And the idea is to just read the text and give like a brief interpretation if it seems requisite at all. I think just to go through it every once in a while. Some context may be necessary, but I figure as you finish chapters and shouldn't reach completion and like reflect, but obviously it'd be hard. I think that there are natural stopping points. I need to work on making this more entertaining, I think. Well, again, I can't be too critical. I gotta remember, given the circumstances. Yeah. So, gosh, I need to contact with so many people about so many things. I'm just gonna go in another song because probably most people aren't aware of my this part of me. In fact, no one's aware of anything. Really, no one really knows anything of me. I am an enigma. Anyway, alright, let's do one. Classic. Well, I know I'm going to hell. I know I'm gonna die. I know I'm living a lie. I know because I try. I'm here for a good time, and so are you. So when I die, I know that I will be with you in hell, in hell, in hell, in hell, in hell, in hell. Well, I'll be with you, and I know I live for applause, but that doesn't mean I won't die for a cause. Well, I'm gonna die, and the doctor will say the cause was all the drugs, all thinking too much of. Maybe I fell into tough luck. Now, whoa, some tough ass luck. Now this modern age, this modern cage, I fell into tough ass luck in this modern age. This modern age, this modern rage, this modern stage. I can't stand it. I'm a modern martyr. I'm a modern martyr. Well, I'm a modern martyr. Oh, I'm a modern martyr. And I will see you in hell, in hell, in hell, in hell, in hell, in hell. I'll see you in hell. It's important with my songs to be able to understand irony and satire. I just want to get some of these down anyway, so I might as well just keep going with them. We should do like a concert version. Alright, I think it's still doing it. Alright, so let's do another one. This one down now, especially bad. Like the birds with the feathers, you stay any weather. Like the birds with the feathers, you stay any weather. Like the Pony Express, delivering sheer happiness. You're my night, all white. Help me get through tonight. 'Cause you're reliable, you're dependable, you're the most important passenger on the train. First stop enters the vein, then express straight to the brain. Ease the pain. Like the birds with the feathers, you're with me wherever. Like a shirt on my skin, you're my scarlet letter. I've endured torture and social betrayal, publicly molded and made molten, brain swollen, all to satisfy your expectations. The result of deep indoctrinations, the product of cruel intentions unleashed upon this entire nation. It's grown now, a global delusion. Big win for Nixon, big win for oppression. Make up a pandemic and blame the fucking patient. Make up a pandemic and blame the fucking patient. I can hear the dog whistle symphony now. I can hear the dog whistle symphony now. I can hear the dog whistle symphony now. One death's a tragedy, a million deaths a policy. Well, one death's a tragedy, a million deaths a policy. Well, one death's a tragedy, a million deaths a policy. Well, I can hear the dog whistle symphony now. Maybe that's decent. Oh. I guess. Let's just go into trying to do another one, I think, right? I'm trying to do another one. Let's be musical, this one. Might as well. Oh yeah, this will be good. Oh shit, no, yeah. I gotta start that over. Keep it on. As we go on, we remember all the drugs we've done together. And we get older, we do either, can't remember, blah blah blah. Committed thought crime, incarcerated, never ever graduated. And I'm so bored, I'm incarcerated. I've already masturbated at least 6 times just since breakfast call. I've already drained my left and right ball. Let's make some toilet wine, have us a good time. We'll surely vomit, tell the cops to fucking suck it. Sell me some Seroquel, so I can sleep well. When I get caught with it, they'll say you gave me it as payment for the debts accrued in gambling, in spades or poker, maybe for a handy, and we'll get locked down in the hole now. Was it worth it? You fucking know, oh well. Let me think. What else can we do? Oh yeah, here's a good one. Well, I once was a good Christian. Oh, I start over. Well, I once was a good Christian. Oh, I missed it again. Well, I once was a good Christian. And I said, is hail him? And who is him? Well, I'll tell you. Oh, fuck. Well, I once was a good Christian. And I say, is hail him? And who is him, you ask? I'll tell you, gentlemen. He's the Lord with the dark and grim. When I was young, I had been baptized, but I didn't realize all the mud they shut in our eyes to cover all those hateful lies. Yes, I discovered that Jesus, oh yes, Jesus was the Lord of the flies. So hail, hail Satan, where's hail, hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan, 'cause Satan is our king. Oh yes, hail, hail Satan, oh yes, hail, hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan, 'cause Satan is our king. Well, I know that I'm going to hell, but that's fine, 'cause it suits me well, 'cause I know the company will be swell, the entire cast, Saved by the Bell. So hail, hail Satan, oh yes, hail, hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan, 'cause Satan is our king. Oh yes, hail, hail Satan, oh yes, hail, hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan, 'cause Belvedere is our king. I don't know. I like making these weird 90s reference songs because that's when the middle class buying power is like acceptable to sustain decent quality of life across more of the country, not all of it. Definitely the Reaganomics blues were still in high effect as the Democratic Party became funded by corporate interests as Reagan had collapsed the unions, so essentially both parties became literally owned by corporate interests. So really Reagan's collapse of the unions harkens a critical change in American policy making and American governance across the board. And really what's happening now with Trump is yet another sort of sea change, where Reagan weaponized the presidency to destroy the union, so he went after the funding source of the DNC and homogenized the funding of both major parties. This is something that's never talked about, but is absolutely factual. And so what Trump is doing now is sort of like re-distinguishing the two parties into, stop it, Max, the corporations and the absurdly nepotistic and draconian corporations. But the corporations and the absurd draconian, I don't even know, it's like they're the same party, but at the same time I have to vote against Trump because it's worse. It's bad, but the two-party, one-party system is better than whatever the fuck Trump is. For sure. And again, we do need to... I voted for Jill Stein in the one that Trump won this state. I am going to vote for fucking Kamala. I want a change, but, you know, that's not really available. You know, it's perpetual race to the bottom. This isn't democracy, is another thing that you need to realize. It isn't, by definition, at all a democracy. So, it's a representative republic. I mean, like, the concept of a representative democracy is actually like an oxymoron. You know, a democracy means like policy and legislation by the people, you know, that are being legislated or whatever. And who the people are has been defined in various ways, but if we're going to accept the modern definition of the people, which is the most accurate one, just a very broad one, then this is obviously nowhere near that, and it isn't meant to be. A representative government, essentially, is the very antithesis of a democracy, because you're not directly involved in the policy making and legislation. You have someone that represents you on your behalf, and that's the same as every other governmental system, and it's the problem is that really you should be involved directly in the policy and legislation that governs you, and that is a good concept, but it's not in practice in the United States. And the justification was that it was impractical to actually be able to institute a voting apparatus that would allow something like engagement in a democracy and democratic system in a nation this large. But with technology, it would actually be quite easy to implement an actual direct democracy now. Especially if we were, you know, like runoff voting systems and everything. But what would end up happening, too, is the people that bothered to read and engage would most likely, I don't know, there would be a way to do this better than we have right now, because what we have right now is a scamocracy, which only is encouraged by nepotism, cronyism, and other bribery schemes and scams. Like, the currency exchange mechanism that is utilized and why you see everything made in China is ultimately a theft of our economy from anyone's pocket who isn't manipulating the currency exchange. And you're not. I mean, and if you are, I have some 3D molds that I guarantee that's a whole other story. But I mean, if someone has a good access to manufacturing in China, it's not every single person that's manufacturing in China is like inherently evil or inherently like a Skeksis of the Illuminati. Quote, you know, but there is an inherent inequity involved in, like, essentially you're being able to pay people pennies and give them the same buying power that you'd have to pay people dollars. I mean, it's like 100x exchange, but you're not, like, the idea these people are working for so much less that makes them more or whatever. It's because their insular economy allows that amount of American money to translate into a livable wage in China. It's not that... That's a whole other thing. They have a much more efficient, essentially, society, and they're artificially manipulating the value of the currency. That's, you know, it's fucked up almost everywhere. It's fucked up everywhere. But the thing is the idea that, like, oh, where else are you going to go or something like that, that isn't a justification for injustice. The idea that, well, this is one of the best places, or this is the best place, that isn't a justification for injustice. And also, objectively, this is not one of the best places. And like, it's probably in the top 25%, but barely in almost every important category, and in a lot of really important categories it's closer to the top half. And I think the most critical ones are talking about like quality of life and wealth stratification. It's not very good at all. I mean, in self-reported quality of life, it's bad. It's worse than most countries that are shithole countries or whatever the hell Donald Trump likes to call them. And yeah, I don't know. I just am suffering so greatly because and we all are, because of wildly ineffective and cruel government and bureaucracy. And the evidence of it is everywhere. Like, it's everywhere. They fucked up this entire nation, but Great Lakes country is a glaring example. And the more I look into how this has been mismanaged, and we're not talking about just 100 years ago, 200 years ago, we're talking about it's been mismanaged. I mean, there have been pockets of good management, but it's been mostly a shit show of rapid profiteering and exploitation without a single thought of the like consequences or the fucking ethics of it. Just a rapid fucking rapacious, seizing of resources in the least efficient but most rapid way. Like, gosh, for hundreds of years they just fucked this area, and then they want to pretend like this is the greatest country ever. No, this is the greatest land ever. It's not the greatest government. The best parts about our government were stolen ideas from the Native American tribes that we completely screwed over by disregarding treaties, by just all types of things. I mean, ultimately, when you really think about it, the things that we did to the Native, not we, I mean, I was not in partake and I don't approve, but the things that what became the American government, and what was actually more than the American government, the U.S. government, than the French especially, and the English, but all of them, but the U.S. government most especially, guilty of so many war crimes against the native nations. It's appalling, and they had established treaties with them and acknowledged them as nations until they had the strength to just fuck them up. And the natives continually operate in good faith, while the Americans continually operate in bad faith. And even when the treaties are written or signed in good faith, or like there's a good faith operator, constantly these profiteering, cruel minds are able to seize control of the apparatus of state and commit genocide over and over again. We're letting it happen in a new way again. Like, what's happening now here was what happened in Europe, that kicked a bunch of people off of their lands in Europe and sent them here, And now where do they go? There are homeless encampments all over the place. And this is a place that LaSalle said, homelessness, poverty, but there's homeless poverty. There's no equivalent. What was the exact? I'll try to get as close to the exact quote. I'm not going to be able to. I'm paraphrasing. Essentially, LaSalle considered this place a immeasurable bounty where poverty and hunger could never reach you. And really, when you think about it, even in its highly degraded state, if you were allowed to utilize these resources in a more free way, they've degraded everything so much. It's so messed up. I mean, LaSalle's talking about getting 20-foot sturgeons with spear casually in the St. Clair River, so they've completely screwed this ecosystem, and they've made it so, so you have to depend on essentially the importation and movement of food, even though the ecosystem should be able to sustain you. The social and economic system and infrastructure are too inefficient to do so. This is a nightmare. This is pretty much, with this level of technology, this is the worst conceivable government. It's going to keep getting worse. I mean, rapidly worse, and the consequences will be unfathomable on every successive year, successive generation. The consequences will become more and more unconscionable and more evident, but the time to prevent this is like almost zero. I have no faith that any significant number of people will, I don't know, suddenly become aware of the state of things. There is no functioning apparatus of press, so how would you? But everyone knows intuitively that they're being fucked over. And that is true. Help me. Save this effing planet, please. Do you like the red? I don't know. And no, probably not. It's probably not very becoming.